All right, so we are recording now. Do I have your permission to record?
Yes, that's entirely fine.
Excellent, thank you. So thank you for agreeing to let me interview you. This is a part of a project for a class called Games Culture and Power, where we all have to do research on some digital game space. So I chose Twitch. um, just in case you're wondering, because it might seem weird, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions that I already know the answer to, but for the sake of the interview, I'm still gonna ask. Um, so what is so your Twitch handle is Drowned Summer. Do you prefer to go by Drowned Summer or Drowned, or what do you prefer to be called?
It, I think a lot of it. I mean, I think because the fact is obviously the first part of the word being drowned, a lot of people tend to just go with summer a lot of the time because it's one of obviously it's not the most positive of words, so therefore a lot of people, and it was just a random combination of words I put together for a username for something that wasn't probably about a decade ago. I never really intended on using it for a Twitch handle. It just kind of what I used when I registered way before I even started streaming, and then kind of couldn't really be bothered to change it. And now that's what everyone knows me as. So it's like at this point, I'll stick with that rather
That
than further confusing people by changing it.
that makes sense. I'm taking handwritten notes during this, so if I look down, that's why. Okay, well, I'll call you Summer then. So I want to start with just some very basic background about your, it's not going to be super personal, but about your personal life, just to get an idea. At any point, you can choose to not answer a question. That is completely fine. You are not obligated to answer anything. Um, or you can be not detailed. So, like, I would like to know where you live. You do not have to tell me your exact address, just
Yeah,
general.
you can see the lovely flat as it is, which is the bits that don't look less of a mess than the rest of the room. But yeah, I am an English streamer who lives in the Midlands area of the UK. Um, not yeah, that's probably about as specific as yeah. In
Okay.
I mean not yeah. As people, some people pick up on the fact that I've got a very obviously got a Derbyshire-ish accent, which yeah,
I have a feeling I don't have any British students, so I'm not sure they're going to pick up on the accent, but that is great. Thank you. How old are you?
I am 41, 42 this year.
I think I knew that. And what is. uh, so I know you are not a full time streamer because you do talk about working sometimes during your stream. What is your occupation?
I do tech support. Um, and work from home. And there's also points in time when I am actually because of the nature of what I do, the work I there are points when one person out of the team does an out of hours week shift for a week, um, but that's quite enough that it doesn't really affect the ability to actually stream while covering still doing that cover. There's just points when I might have to go, right, I'll be back while I listen to this voicemail. It doesn't tend to happen very often at all. So
So, would you say that the nature of your job helps you to be able to stream either more often or in any other respect?
yeah, I mean, I suppose it's the fact that I've been doing. I mean, since always been involved in. I mean, since I've always been primarily my part-time work, pretty much always been involved in IT support in some form. Because I started out on a service desk in 2008, and that's moved on, and then because of then I got moved into basically the company I used to I was the account I was supporting basically the people who handled that account and who that transitioned to another company and I transitioned with it but I wasn't in a service desk role anymore and ended up doing other stuff but it's always been that I've always and and then but also worked literally within about 10 minutes of where I live. You can, I mean, I'm not going to show it, but you can. If I was to go to the window in the bedroom, you can see my previous workplace from the window. And then moved roles, and then but then lockdown happened, so I was working from home, and then got offered a job working from home permanently. So it's, I've always been sort of in roles really where uh, it's not been a problem in terms of streaming, because I've always been like, obviously I can finish work and then just pretty much go sort a few things out, then pretty much go live really.
Um, Also, I apologize if I cough a bit during this. I am now testing negative, but I've had COVID and I seem to have this lingering cough going on. Okay, so is there anything else that might be relevant about you when it comes to streaming or why you do this?
There's nothing major I can think of. I mean, no, I don't know. There's nothing specific I can think of in terms of why I do it. I mean, I do it mostly because it's something I enjoy doing. In terms of I can get into the background of why I started streaming, but which is two two people I used to work with, who I'm still in touch with and still obviously I'm people I'm friends with. They are who streamed at the time. One of them was kind of not was kind of a not fun. I mean, I don't want to say people who were doing full time streaming in terms of work, but I mean people who he streaming occasionally and stuff. And then the other person is who you probably interacted with on my channel, but is Beardless Shark 75, who both of these people I knew from work, and he was someone he'd been streaming for several years, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well you should give it a go and give it a go." And I was just like, "All right, well I might do." I mean, this was the same year I was binge watching. I can see the cat as well.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
This is the same year. The same year I started. I was binge watching the first series of Critical Role, and then was like, right, I'll give it a go. And then basically after that, um, like going, oh, I'm really liking this, and then just stuck with doing it really. And it's always just been something I've just been consistently doing. And um,
Of course, when I get busy, she gets interested in what I'm doing. She's been gone all day until now. Okay, so all right, so you got into streaming because of these coworkers. Did they also introduce you to Twitch, or did you know of the platform previously?
vaguely knew of it. I don't think I'd ever really explored it until. The irony is, of course, the fact is what the thing is. What I'm saying is, of course, what I binge watched was actually, of course, actually something that started out as a live stream was pre-recorded, and
Mm-hmm.
but and I don't think I kind of started checking out a couple of people through that, but I think most the yeah it was mostly through the shark. I kind of made sort of discovered it and kind of got in, and then met other people through their channels really.
Okay. So when you first, actually, hold on. So when you very first started interacting with Twitch, how were your interactions? Like, did you start going on daily? Was it something you like delved into right away? Or was this a more casual thing with LaShark or people you knew?
I think it's more of a sort of a casual sort of thing of occasionally sort of checking out and watching people streams and stuff, and then sort of probably um, but I know a lot of people do. A lot of people with checking out Twitch and stuff like and people's channels. It's often as like, I've got this up. I'm casually sort of watching it, but I'm maybe engaged in other things as well because I've always been the sort of person who's like going, oh, you can have podcasts on the background. It's like no, and no, it's something that I will. It's if it's something I'm engaged in, ultimately it'll be something that I have on. It'll be the primary thing I'm focused on and the only thing I'm probably doing. Um,
Interesting. Obviously, you know I'm not that way since I watch you while I work.
which is fun. Yeah, which is yeah, it completely. I mean, I think a lot of people don't tend to. I think I'm probably in a lot of cases tend to be the odd one out in terms of how I engage with a lot of things like that. Really, into a lot of people's like the whole YouTube engagement of we want shorter videos. It's like no, I want something to be that's like about 2 hours long, like long at least an hour or more. Really, generally. But,
I oh my god, go. Okay, so all right, so that's how you were when you started as a viewer. How long between that time and when you decided you wanted to stream?
I think I basically just decided I was experimenting after being encouraged to do. I was experimenting around with with Streamlabs, and there was this kind of thing where I couldn't quite work out why. Um, this was entirely at the start. I was entirely doing PC streaming. wasn't I wasn't I didn't touch doing native console streaming for quite a while, which is obviously a contrast now in the fact that primarily always just everything I do is almost console streaming. Um, when I first started, I was experimenting with Streamlabs, and I couldn't for the life of me work out why I could do the capture, but there was no um, it was completely static and it wasn't actually kept wasn't there wasn't a live foot it wasn't like motion video. And then like me and a friend, and then one of the well, actually I actually ended up taking my laptop into work, so my friend who I work with, who was obviously doing streaming, we could have a look at it and go, right, what's going wrong. We eventually worked out that because it needed to be basically what I was doing needed to be windowed, and then it was like, oh, and then it worked, and I basically decided, you know what, I'll give it a go and just go. I'll pick a random game, um, went live, and did this like 2 hour stream where I streamed Thompson's Alone, um, for 3 people. That was it. It was my two friends and the then girlfriend of the person, one of those 2 people at the time. Um,
Hey, 3 people for a first stream is not bad.
yeah, yeah. And then then this guy I actually really enjoyed it. And then basically decided, right, I'll do another stream the next night, and then that was a complete technical failure, and it was that bad in terms of the capture of the footage. This was also what actually made me realise that I kind of also needed to have something up so I could actually monitor the actual stream itself, so I could see what was happening. Because I basically the second stream I streamed Castle Crashers, and it there was just something wrong with the video. It just didn't work. So I basically then saw back of it and then gone, oh, that's absolutely terrible, and deleted the stream. But yeah, that was quite good. But yeah, that basically made me go, this is something I really want to do, and then was like, basically, yeah, pretty much from there on, can pretty much have been continually streaming, really.
um, how about that? Wow, I can talk. Um, about how much time between you starting as a viewer was there until um, that first stream?
I think probably I don't know. I think I may have occasionally like. I think my friend was probably the few people I did sort of check out really. I think it was maybe just casually every so often, sort of like stopping by. So it may I can't quite remember. So it might have been. I would say maybe a couple of months to maybe a couple of weeks or something.
Oh, okay, so that's quick. Okay. So, okay, I'm skipping a couple. You answered some of my questions already. You did mention that you started on PC, but you're now mostly on console. Um, do you use any? What software do you use? Are you going straight off the console?
So with the PC, it's still Streamlabs. I know obviously a lot of people use OBS. Um, I think because the fact is I only really do one PC stream a week these days. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really, and I've just yeah, and I was not bothered to recreate things in OBS really. Um, yeah, it's and then I just basically with the PS4 with the PS4 well the PS5 at this point, but it's I mean it is just it's far more simpler. It's just basically just press the button on the controller and then just put the title in, then basically then go live, and then or then probably correct things on the dashboard because of the fact that PlayStation. For some reason, PlayStation 8 streaming, for some reason, if there's any punctuation in a game's title, it causes an issue with it that
So
I've
are you
noticed.
using a PC on the side for those corrections?
Yeah, so I've got so that's the thing because to write me I've got well I mean I've got a laptop which I basically have open so I can monitor the chat because one of the things I'm not as keen on is the amount of real estate that the chat window it takes up on the screen for the PS4 streams. So I've got that hidden and I have the chat open on a laptop so I can obviously make adjustments on the dashboard there.
I didn't know you could hide the chat when you stream on the PS4. How do you do that?
Um, I'd need to check because I don't own one anymore because I sold it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Now that I know it's possible, I'm sure I could Google it and look it up. I literally,
Yeah.
yeah, didn't know that was an option. Cool. Because I agree with you. That is a lot of real estate. Um, do you use any like bots or anything else or?
Yeah, so I've got Nightbot, and it's configured to do Nightbot's kind of one of the I think it's probably one of the less complex bots. Um, I've got a couple. Yeah, there's a couple. Basically, all I've got with Nightbot is really it's got some timers and some inbuilt stuff, inbuilt commands built into it. Most of which are kind of mostly just idiotic things that have just been mostly just in jokes between myself and some some of the my moderators really. Um, but yeah, mostly um, I think the one time I tried to do a giveaway with Nightbot on the channel for a birthday stream, I think I ended up giving up with it, and just basically is like, yeah, I think I just basically used a random number generator off Google instead. I can't remember how I did it in the end, but it was just like it just wasn't rolling properly um because I was aware you could do it because that's what we obviously as the thing um I'm not sure if you yeah there's the charity stream stuff I've done and for the organisation of that for giveaways and stuff we use the fact there is a giveaway thing you can do on Nightbot, but for some reason it couldn't get it to work properly for me, so I gave up and did something else.
Um, you mentioned moderators. How many moderators do you have on your channel?
Um, I think I can check because it means I don't quite know offhand. Hang on. I have 10
Wow.
apparently.
Are these? How do you choose mods?
They are basically friends and people I trust, essentially.
Are they
Yeah.
all people that you met through Twitch or that you have met elsewhere or a mix of the two?
Um, they're kind of a mix. See, one of my moderators actually met through Twitch through some basic a community Discord that someone put together for trial, obviously rallying streamers, and then obviously which I'm not going to stop. Yeah, one of these. Well, um, and she sort of stopped by on the stream, then realised, hang on, you sound like, and then we both realised that actually, of course, we were actually from. She's literally from the next sort of town over, which is bizarre. But I mean, one of my a couple of them are obviously one of my moderators, one of my friends I've known for years. One of them is one of the organisers for one of the other people involved in my role playing group, one of my role playing groups, and most of the others are all people mostly all the others are people I've met through. Oh, at least one of my other role players and friends is actually one of the moderators as well, and most of them are people I've sort of met from the community in around. Well, I mean, most of them are the community in around the from that were in and around Concrete Donkey. Um, and most of the people I met through that, in fact, most of Concrete Donkey are moderate is on there.
I think that's how I met you, actually.
I believe that was through when George was streaming The Witcher, and it was either you raided George or it was he raided you. I can't remember which.
George rated me because for a while, we kept watching each other. I would watch him dip out to start streaming. He would raid me because then he went to work. And so that was kind of the timing there. We piggybacked each other for Witcher Wednesdays.
Yeah, because they're currently on, well, have been on a hiatus. I think George is. There was implicated. Yes, I think he was meant to be eventually moving back to the UK, but I don't think it's still not happened. I can't remember what was mentioned last time I asked about that.
Um, yeah, I don't know. My work schedule changed when we started opening after the pandemic, and so I haven't. In the last year, I think I've seen Josh like twice, and that's it. I mean, he's not even in Concrete Donkey anymore. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because he's streaming right now. Actually, he's doing It Takes Two. But yeah, because I think there was the stream went on a Sunday when I was doing Fahrenheit, and I think this one of the earliest streams we got talking was one of the ones where George stopped by, and I think the three of us started talking about tabletop role playing, if I remember correctly. Because I have a suspicion that was what then led to that Monster of the Week stream. But yeah.
Yeah, now I feel like I gotta look up their schedule again. Figure that out. Um, Time zones are hard, man. Let's see. Okay. So I want to talk about your channel a little more now. Does or did ever your channel have a theme?
Um, in terms of, I think it's always been the fact I've always, I mean, it's always been me doing. I think the closest to a theme has always been me doing, in a lot of cases, me doing weirder and obscure games that aren't necessarily always we shown, or just me just doing stuff that I quite like, but not necessarily always draws any form of audience whatsoever. In terms of that, I mean, the earliest things I started doing was the earliest things I started doing was I started like did. And this was I will fully admit that I stole the idea from someone else by kind of who one of the earliest streamers actually I met that was probably not the Shark really was after one of my own early streams when I streamed a game called Dream Daddy, which is a visual novel dating simulator where you are dating other dads, and and then I stopped by on someone else who was streaming it, and and what I noted they were doing was they were basically kind of something I've embraced and done it wholeheartedly many times since then. Is they obviously actually reading things out and actually narrating the characters and kind of somewhat, and I've kind of gone with the idea, yeah, let's do visual novels and do stupid voices for all the characters and stuff like that, and then went on to do Hotel for Boyfriend, and then they did. I mean, stuff like that, and I can't. I mean, Hotel for Boyfriend's a game I really like anyway, but it was one of this like doing things that like I quite like doing. Yeah, the as much as I obviously do like bigger, more mainstream games, I've always kind of had more of a soft spot for doing um, weird stuff. Really, like I think the thing I really enjoyed that I discovered that I named the year, not last year, but the year before that, and then discovered this RPG Maker game called Off, which was completely surreal. There was a French game originally that was translated, and it was like that was yeah, really enjoyed that. And it's just yeah, um, I think more just I think in terms of sorry, it's the closest thing I can approaching the theme is me pushing the boundaries of what I consider to be I'm not going to say poor taste, but actually what I consider to be amusing and bizarre and strange, really.
Uh, all right. And do you have a target audience in mind?
Um, Anyone who's made the poor decision to watch my channel. I mean, there isn't really much of a. I don't know. I find that one of the things I often find in terms of the way the niche of myself as a streamer is the point that whenever you, I mean, to it's like whenever you kind of look at things like stream teams and stuff like that, and people who are kind of like stream communities and stuff like that, you always find, in my experience, quite often, it's always kind of like people of grouping together, streaming the sort of the more often sort of like FPS games like Call of Duty, or battle royale games like Fortnite, Apex, and you always find, but especially in my experience of being the person who everyone else is going is like, well, what, like, yeah, I stream Call of Duty and I've got this kill kit. I stream Apex, and it's like, what do you stream? I'm the weirdo who streams pigeon dating simulators, and just like everyone else, just like the tumbleweed rolling past in the room, just like. And I think this generally find that I think in many respects you try and I think somewhat try to find other sort of streamers who have that sort of that sort of niche of trying to find um, that aren't doing the same that aren't doing the usual things, and doing some things that are slightly more offbeat. But I find that's a bit of a smaller community, smaller community. It's kind of appealing to. You often get. I often what I find is what more with the things that I stream. In a lot of cases, you get the sort of you get the sort of the more so that you'll get one or you get a couple of people who stop by occasionally, and it'll go, oh yeah, oh you're streaming this. That's really quite cool. You're streaming this, and then it's like, and then I'm not. This isn't criticism, and then you'll find that like maybe they just never should. Then it's very sort of like momentary in terms of sort of like for a lot of people. With like you might find they'll stop by once or twice, then that'll be it really. Um,
Um, do you have what goals do you have for your channel?
um, I suppose these are the goal really has been. I mean, I can't say I care about trying aiming for partner really. Um, I think mostly carving out, having a select, moving and basically, I suppose generally going back to doing actually better stream from PC and basically kind of actually having some sort of semblance, um, not rebranding, but at least actually getting probably putting together some actual artwork for the channel and sort of actually having it maybe in a sort of a slight theme towards things. Um, but I suppose just carving out my own little corner and kind of just potentially having a slightly more regular audience is about as much as I'm kind of aiming for, really.
Um, do those are those goals indicative of the streams that you also enjoy watching?
Yeah, I suppose in many respects. I mean, mostly it tends to be the same. I mean, I don't tend to have a um, wide number of. It's more the sort of same people that I watch. Um, um, when I am sort of watching, so as I say, Josh or Mage Bunny and other people, and Shark and a few others really. and it's like other people I've met in the periphery of those that it seems when they're actually, well, and yourself when you're streaming.
I did not mean for this hiatus to be this long. I'm coming back. All right. So goals indicative. What kind of things do you do outside of the stream itself to interact with viewers or bring more viewers in?
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I don't really. I mean, I suppose it's mostly just I need to try and. Um, I'm not really certain I'm probably the best at that really because I probably don't. I tend to. Um, I'm not really sort of the person who's kind of like try. I'm not really one of these streamers who's kind of ever tried really posting stuff on TikTok or doing stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. As a means of driving engagement and driving engagement back towards my channel. I've just never really. It's something that a lot of people, streamers do, and I've never. It more. I mean, an aspect of it is probably just is laziness, but I've never really spent any time and tried. But it's more just sort of acting, just posting on Discord and interacting on there really. Um, but I think with a lot of the sort of the stuff in terms of like doing stuff for YouTube and TikTok, I think a lot of it is it's also the actual free time to be able to do such things as well. Um, which I don't always feel that I've got the time. I mean, especially as choose to stream five times a week, and then I have um, basically 2 nights where I'm not two days out of the week where I'm not streaming. One of those I'm usually I'm not normally not always in for a lot of Wednesday evenings, and Friday is when I'm is one of my role playing nights. So it's kind of the time in which to do such things. I don't always feel I've got.
Sure, and on top of a full time job, I feel the time crunch. um, okay, so I have one more main question off my sheet here. Um, and I'm going to start by saying I feel like this is phrased awkward, but I wasn't sure how to phrase it. What I want to ask is what are your favorite things that people in chat do or say during your streams? Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Uh, I don't know. um, I suppose I suppose the things is kind of the engaging actually with what you're doing and remarking on, and actually I suppose with with Twitch, obviously remarking on going is like when you're finding stuff that um where the streamer is basically encountering some sort of absurd moment or something weird in the game, and obviously the viewers have kind of going, oh that's bizarre or something you've done that was stupid. Let's clip that, which I think is kind of quite good. Or where I suppose it's where it's in engage where they've chosen to, and obviously with Twitch you've got the channel point rewards and the fact that we're choosing to go, I'm going to spend enough time to get the points to actually engage and ask you and redeem it to do this stupid thing which you've listed as one of your options. Um, because it, yeah,
Did you know that I stopped using channel points because I got it in my head that I had to be VIP on your channel. And so I just sat there staring at that, waiting for it to get to the VIP level.
no. I mean, the irony was, if you wanted me to say something, to actually admit to something in regards to you redeeming the VIP thing, I think that's pretty much the only thing that basically as to why I didn't actually make you a moderator, to be honest. Because I mean, it amused me the other day because obviously I've got on my channel I've got two, because that's the one of the things with Twitch is that you've got the whole VIP thing and it's just like and it's kind of like how do I obviously the whole idea of it being rewarded, giving it something like rewarding this to long time viewers and people who've obviously been or just long time allies of the channel,
Mm-hmm.
or the way that obviously quite a few have started to do it now is the fact they're going is like, right, I'll do it as a point redemption where where you can where you can get accrue that many points you can buy it as a thing. I know Um, Josh has got basically a thing where he does it as competitions, which is kind of a nice idea. Um, and yeah, and I think it's where I think one of the things. I mean, not that I do, not that I've got vast. I mean, I have got stupid ones on there, but I've not got a lot of the ones where it's kind of the things of getting the streamer to do things on a channel. Because I mean, often in a lot of cases, I'll go, it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So, but it's like I've got ones on there which I have on there. I mean, some of them, it's like, yeah, because it amused me the other day when one of my other long time sort of streaming friends redeemed. So I've got two on my channel that are very expensive, which was the one for the moderator, sorry, the one for the VIP, and the other one I basically, which I initially just regarded as uh, high cost no reward, which was basically spend 50,000 channel points and get nothing in return, which I then obviously decided to rename to something to do with cryptocurrency just because it amused me. And one of my friends basically saved up enough to get the VIP, and then the other chat on Sunday stream had enough to also spend on the cryptocurrency one. So I've still got like 200,000. It's like, yeah,
Nice. I am the next thing I am saving for, although I think I might have enough now, is the what do you call it? Summer ASR ASMR.
oh, the ASMR one where, I mean, I'm not certain if you're playing it out in chat. I can playing it through a class. I can fully read, so exactly state what I tend to read out with that on grounds of taste. But
Is if it's I mean, I teach college, they're adults.
I mean, if you want me to give the completely honest answer for that, is generally what it started out as being me just basically doing some sort of like rough, more northern voice, even more the sounding going, talking in a very stupid way, which obviously completely momentarily knackers my throat. But it's also of course is one of the voices I probably do for things when I'm doing visual novels anyway. As going back to the whole tofu boyfriend thing, it was like, yeah, that was great because also, of course, up until 3 years ago, of course, I only like quit smoking like 3 years ago. So also, so when I did the tofu boyfriend, one of the things was the culmination of the kind of the main root of it is where you've got like 6 or 8 characters in a room all talking. So that was entertaining. Me switching between about, and um, so one of the things with this ASMR, it was basically obviously me parodying, and obviously one of the things I very much enjoy doing things is obviously just parodying things and just pointing out absurdity and just things like that because it just greatly amuses me. Like and just stupid in jokes on my channel, like where I think I managed to go a year between streams of one game between a game of something, and then obviously made a point about this. But it's like yeah, I'm clearly no one else is going to get what I'm referencing, but it just amuses me to do it. But and the ASMR thing was basically just me doing, and what it started out as being was me reading out of just fine getting someone to provide me something to read out and a random article, and what it ended up metamorphosing into being was, I think it was when I was doing the second Deadly Premonition game, and I can't remember who redeemed it, but I would almost certainly probably blame Sharky as I blame him for many things, and redeemed it, and I basically thought I know what I can read out for a laugh, and read out for a laugh, and basically went onto an adult website called Literotica, which is you probably, and basically finding the erotic poetry on there and reading this out in a very stupid voice and trying not to go too far till I get myself banned off Twitch. But also, it's debated. It's like reading them going like, hey, Alf, is this one clean enough? I can get away with it, or is this one actually going a bit too? It's like, oh, we'll read it out and risk it because no one's out. It's not, and that's where it ended up being, really.
I can't wait to redeem it. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. I can probably look up actually what my own actual redemption stuff is these days. I don't even remember half my.
is there
Because
any? Oh, go ahead.
I think a lot of them you tend to find that a lot of people don't tend to actually don't always. I mean, I've never been hugely keen on the whole. Oh, you've got the whole first thing, which of course when I first put it on, forgot to set a limit on. So therefore, um, Oh, so yeah, I then decided to first, and then decided to parody it by putting 929. Yeah, there's not a vast amount on there, really. I couldn't. I had a load at one point for Breath of the Wild, and then never actually ended up streaming it, apart from like one or two streams, and then the capture card I had died anyway. So
Um, yeah, I don't know. I love interacting with channel points, but I love interacting with bits also for weird reasons.
yeah, because yeah, it's one of the things I quite enjoy is the point of the okay, okay. I mean, I'm not always one that engages with like games and stuff in terms of channels and stuff like that, but I like the ones where it's appropriate and not overused, but where you've got like you can spend bits to you can spend bits or whatever it is to have like sounds and stuff play on streams, and that can be quite entertaining depending upon what's happening.
Yep, yeah, I would agree. Um, is there anything that people do in chat that annoy you?
Um, uh, I can't really think too much. I mean, there's a lot of the. It's more getting into sort of the etiquette of things of doing the sort of, oh, there's not many people watching. It's like, yeah, I know. Don't, yeah, to be honest, pointing it out is not really like maybe don't. It's more. I don't know really. It's more when you specifically. I mean, there's obviously. I mean, obviously, I'm not wanting to get into. Yeah, it's bits and pieces where you've clearly set boundaries for point things where and then someone actually going like the other day, I suppose. What would you say to what do you say to if I could do custom graphics instead? Well, to be honest, I know an artist anyway, and frankly, I'm not really that keen. You try to promote yourself much. It's people, I suppose, actually choosing not to respect actually the rules you've set down, and it's like yeah, in terms of actually very specifically these things which I've listed, and it's like saying things like yeah, but we're not going to pay any attention to that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. All right, that covers all of my questions. That was awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I am going to stop this recording.